Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of their day today to learn about a new trip here at the OLLI. I am joined today by my account manager, Morgan. So know that if you choose to join the tour, she's actually going to be your main point of contact, but very much the norm, especially in September, all things back to session. We know it could be a very busy time. So hello if you're joining us live, and hello if you're joining us via the recording. As I mentioned before, my name is Josh. I am the consultant here at Go Ahead Tours for all OLLI travel across the United States. I'm very excited for us being able to roll another tour out with USF. I work with over 20 OLLIs from across the country. We'll actually talk about how this trip is going to be done in tandem with our friends at the OLLI at Delaware. But let me go ahead and start the presentation and get into the details. So a quick breakdown of what our tour is going to, or what our meeting today is going to cover. Talk a little bit about the background of traveling with Go Ahead, what to expect, what that's like, why we have been fortunate enough to have the partnership with the OLLI. Of course, talk about the tour, highlights, excursions, things like that, and then tour details, pricing, a great discount we're going to be able to offer everyone if they want to sign up in the next 2 weeks, and then plenty of time at the end for questions. So I see that this is set up with a chat function. So if you have a question and it pops into your head and you're worried about not remembering it, feel free to pop it into the chat. Either Morgan and I will do our best to address it if possible there, or when the presentation is over, we will stay on as long as needed to answer any questions. People can feel free to come off mute and again, really have a conversation. We want to make sure anything that we can address, we do so today. And also give you details on how to get a hold of us if we don't. Before I hop into the presentation, we got a quick fun video to share. Fun fact, Go Ahead was named by Newsweek as a Reader's Choice top tour destination or top tour provider in 2025. So I'd like to think our product can speak for itself when you join it, but nice to see other folks are in agreement with that as well. So the point of that video, I think, was just to kind of preview the idea, of course, going on guided group travel and why there's a lot of advantages of it. I'm going to talk a little bit in another slide exactly what to expect when you choose to join a Go Ahead guided tour. But I think we're going to start first with our parent company. So Go Ahead is the adult tour division of EF, which stands for Education First. I think that education is very purposeful, specifically with our relationship with the OLLIs across the country. Our tours are designed with education in mind. Lifelong learners, not only do they want to travel, but they want to make sure they're coming back a little more learned when they get home. Our trips, and you'll see with the way our itineraries are designed, are completely, the idea is that that is first and foremost. But in addition to education being forefront, I think so is safety. So if you see here, all those little tiny blue dots you see across the map, those are places we have physical offices and employees all across the world, multiple in Canada, where this trip is going. So purpose there is to know that we really have, we call it boots on the ground all across the world. Nice to know we don't ever really need these folks, but I'd rather have them there just in case. So just thinking about the true, when you're working with a company like EF, you are truly working with the world's largest educational travel company. I think pivoting then to the question of why travel matters. I think this is a subjective question. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. But I feel like I can speak, and Morgan and I, with our experience with having the opportunity and really the luxury to be able to focus just on lifelong learning travel. I think travel matters a lot to folks like you all who are considering doing this tour through their OLLI. I think, of course, the want and the need really to continue to be a curious lifelong learner. Travel connects very well to that. I think if you are a person who learns through experience, I would argue there's probably no better way to learn than to go out there and see new things, meet new people, experience other cultures, hands-on, and really from a personal perspective. So that is our goal with every EF tour. We want to make sure you're coming back feeling like you're able to do all of those things. And also everyone's got a personal reason why travel matters. I mean, the part of the world you're going to is just past Maine. I love Maine because I've got a lot of family there. I don't live there. I've never lived there, but I love that part of the country and I have a fondness for it. And then, of course, up into Canada because of time spent there. But it might be your first time going there. I actually kind of hope it is because I think it's a really unique place that isn't really necessarily on people's number one on their bucket list, but hopefully when we talk about this tour, it quickly climbs the ranks. And this slide is dedicated to thinking about what it means to travel with a guided tour company, specifically with Go Ahead. That video previewed it. I think one of the points it was trying to make is there's an ease with doing guided travel. I never assume when someone's watching one of my recordings that they've ever done a trip like this, or they might be an experienced traveler who's done many, but they might be their first time considering Go Ahead. So when talking about Go Ahead, things that I want you all to know. When we talk about ease, I think you want to understand what I mean by that is it is designed, no matter what you pick on this tour, if you choose to join it, that the logistics are really going to be taken care of for you. What I mean by that is your tour is staffed with a full-time tour director. So that's the person who's with you from the time you touch down until the time you go home. They're handling the things like hotel check-in. They're handling things like if we're going out to eat at a restaurant, the reservation. When we're going on cultural views and like maybe going to a museum or a specific site that requires ticketing, they are doing all of that so you don't have to. The cost of those entrances are built into the tour as well, so it saves for additional money that you have to spend on traveling. And I think in the OLLI world, also, fun fact, those two pictures on this slide, that is the tour director from my last Go Ahead tour, which was in Greece. And then that is a picture of a local guide talking to the other OLLI travelers I was actually traveling with. So I had the pleasure of going to Greece with the OLLI from Kentucky this past May. So rather than have these stock photos, I want to bring in real photos and show you these are real OLLI travelers going on Go Ahead tours and having a really good time. That second picture where you see the woman talking to the group kind of half circle around her, we focus on education. It's in the title of the company. It's in the mission, I think, for lifelong learning. How do we do that is executed right there. In addition to the tour director, you are going to have additional local guides. So these are people that might be from the very specific region that you're visiting that day that are experts on exactly where you are. And we integrate those people because we want, again, it's a double, triple down on the education component. We want to make sure the learning is always happening while you are on the tour. And that's a really, really good way to do it. That woman right there was actually PhD from the United States that moved back to Greece to be closer to her family. But it was nice because even in another country like Greece, you had multiple people who could speak English and Greek. Of course, with Canada, it's pretty nice. They're going to speak. I mean, I guess you could run into a couple French speakers, but you'll be speaking English. But all of those are the levels I think I want you to understand when considering maybe another Go Ahead tour, that these are the levels that we go to make sure that you're supported and, of course, continuing to be educated. I don't think you can go to a place like the Northeast up into the Canadian Maritimes and hopefully not get a little excited about food, specifically seafood. At least our Floridians here, they know what it's like to be close to the ocean and have access to good food. It's different when I'm rolling this tour out to folks that are a little more landlocked. But at the end of the day, know that there's plenty of opportunities to make sure that you're eating really well. If you don't like seafood, don't worry, plenty of non-seafood options as well. If you have any dietary restrictions, that's something that you'll be able to put into your user profile so we can make sure we can accommodate whether it's gluten, whether it's lactose, whatever it is, know that we have no issues accommodating for the food we're providing if you have any dietary restrictions. Then pivoting again, thinking about group travel, we keep this idea of we want to learn, but we also want to make it easy. One way we can make it easy is we can bundle your flight package into the overall cost of your tour. But we also know not everyone wants to do that, which is why it's an optional add-on. So you can add flights if you want, but you also don't have to if you prefer to do them your own. Morgan will talk a little bit more about that in a couple slides. And then also quality and comfort. I think sometimes people have a misconception about some group travel that, well, it's a little more cost effective, but they're going to skimp on the hotel. They're going to give us, they're going to put us far away from everything. We're going to have to get taxis. We've never been here before. That could be a pain. Know that we are picking strategically located hotels, so they are places when you have free time that you can easily explore. Secondly, we want to keep the standard, which means we're keeping it at like a 4-star standard. So these are not cheap motels. These are nice places because when you do have free time and you want to recharge your batteries, we want you to be comfortable while you're doing so. Now let's look at the tour itself. So this tour, it's round trip to Halifax. So you see here, it starts and ends in Halifax. We're going to go over a quick day by day here in a couple slides. Also know that the things we cover in the slides, even a more in-depth version, I will share back with the OLLI, so everyone who RSVP'd to the meeting, and we'll be able to post this information on the travel page. So if you see and want more additional context beyond this presentation, that information will be provided after it. So thinking about the tour itself, 8 nights in hand-picked hotels, breakfast every day, so you never have to worry about getting breakfast on your own, 2 lunches, 3 additional dinners with beer or wine, 4 sightseeing tours with those expert local guides. So thinking it's an expert, again, you've been the expert tour director and you have the expert local guides with you. The tour director is always with you. The local guides are brought in on certain days to facilitate that sightseeing capacity. The other thing I think it's important to know about this tour is this tour is launched in tandem with the OLLI from Delaware. I mentioned that earlier in the meeting, meaning that we are the only 2 groups that are going to be on this trip. Sometimes you hear about tours where, well, we tried to launch it and then we didn't get enough people, so now we have strangers that we weren't aware of. I want to make sure people understand the only other people that are going to be on this trip are other OLLI members from Delaware. So that was by design. We wanted to make sure we had 2 groups. There's a social component that we're hoping can be achieved by doing that. And it also helps us reach our minimum of 14 a little faster. So we can talk about that in a couple slides, but I want you to make sure you understand that this is a private tour just for the 2 OLLIs. In addition, of course, you have a private deluxe motor coach, so same idea. It's only those 2 groups are going to have our one tour together, but are going to have access to our private bus, no strangers. That's really nice to know. I think on days we're going to be going to a place, it'll start, summer will be getting close, but it might be a little chilly in the morning. You want to layer up, layer down. You can leave your sweater or jacket on the bus if it gets hotter in the afternoon and not have to worry that anybody else is going to have access to our group. And one, you're up in the Canadian Maritimes, nothing wrong with getting on the water a little bit. Part of the transportation, there's one ferry transfer that the group will take as well. So jumping in, I do want to say, I think for folks who are wondering, this is when we picked the tour, this is becoming a popular tour in the OLLI world. We actually have the OLLI at Yavapai, which thinks Central Arizona. They're getting ready to depart on this tour in a week or 2. We just had, Morgan and I both live in Colorado. So we had the OLLI from Colorado State do this tour the same time you all are doing it, kind of end of spring into early summer this past spring, summer, and they came back with raving reviews. Happy to talk about more about that in the Q&A session. So thinking about travel, I think it's actually important to know, because this is considered, it's not domestic within the United States, but we're staying in North America. The nice thing about tours that stay in North America is our travel time is less. Traditionally, day 1 with a travel day is like we're crossing the Atlantic, we're crossing the Pacific, and we don't really start and get to our hotel until day 2. But because this tour, shorter flights, you will actually get to your destination on day 1, which I think is just a little nicer, one less day to have to wait to actually get to your tour and start enjoying the place you're visiting. So day 1, flying sometime, think morning, afternoon, getting to the location. If you do flights with us, we pick you up from the airport, get you to the hotel, get you settled in, enjoy a night rest. And, we're not changing time zones, which is great. So easy acclimation. Day 2 is really the first day of the tour. That's going to be visiting Peggy's Cove and doing a sightseeing tour of Halifax. But this is also the full first day where everyone's together, because day 1 was just designed to get us there, get us settled, and let everybody start day 2 fresh. So this is why you also see there's a welcome lunch included. Usually we do a welcome dinner when we're on that other international schedule, but for here, we want to make sure people are getting introduced to the tour director, we've got folks from 2 different OLLIs. They're going to get to meet each other for the first time. So this is the time for us to come together, have the tour director kind of explain how they expect the pace of the tour to go, how they're going to be communicating information like what's tomorrow's schedule going to be like, what's the weather going to be like, do you need to pack anything extra, is it a transportation day, if so, what time do we need, you know, for your bags to be outside your door so they can be brought down to the bus so we can make our way on. All of those things are things that are covered in that introductory period to your tour director and also that welcome lunch. But then after that, then we get to go into the sightseeing and really kind of enjoy. This is traditionally sightseeing is done in the morning to early afternoon, but with that schedule, sightseeing is actually going to be done after lunch, which is just a really great way to be able to, again, see the city and then still have a little bit of free time. Continuing on, we are making our way to New Brunswick. You see here things that you can see that you're going to see that are going to be a consistent presence throughout this tour. Being able to see these smaller, quaint, again, maritime type towns. And then we're going to be, again, integrating. We always want to make sure we're supporting local business. So we have a relationship with the Sugar Moon Farm. So you'll be able to both go and be able to visit the farm, talking about the ways that they do harvesting maple syrup. It's a great thing to bring back, whether you prefer to bring some back for yourself, a great gift for friends and family. But in addition to that, going to the port town of Lunenburg, which is actually a UNESCO port town. So you really get to be able to learn about some of the rich Canadian history there along the way. Continuing, I think this is one of the crown jewels of the tour, going up to Prince Edward Island. You see there Hopewell Rocks. If you just Google Canadian Maritimes, traditionally these are the images you see. I'm originally from Michigan. These remind me a little bit of similar type of geological like features that are in like the Upper Peninsula. But these are unique formations that don't happen a lot of times, that aren't naturally occurring in many other places in the world. So this, I think if you're a geology or just really enjoy beautiful photography and scenery, day 4 is the day I'd be really excited about. And then day 4 also is the first time we're entering Prince Edward Island. We traveled there in the morning. So this is the day you see an included dinner. We like to try to include those dinners on days when we're entering a new place for the first time. We've had a little bit of sightseeing. We've had some travel that day. Getting to a new town and having to find an independent restaurant is not always on the top of everyone's to-do list, which is why you see dinner is included on day 4. And then making your way on day 5 to Kennington and Cavendish Beach. Included breakfast that day. I think this is a question that comes up usually is like, well, we're going to be at the beach, which is great. I think our Floridians, again, are probably like, well, we know the beach, a little different beach than you're going to see down in Florida. This is, again, I think, leaning into I think this is the scenery day. I think it's making sure it's like the peace and serenity that is this part of Canada. I think that's a big draw for a lot of people. There's some historical famous novels that were inspired by this part of Canada. I think if we've got any literary fans, this is a fun way to kind of do a little pre-homework before the trip. So you can maybe do a little light reading or even bring those books with you and try to catch up. So you're catching it at day 5 at the right time, but really get to do that and make that adventure as your own. Continuing on day 6, transferring to Cape Breton Island. We're going to say this is where you're going to see more coastal towns. I think if we have any folks who have Scottish ancestry, there's a rich history with the Scottish immigrants who came here as far back as the 1700s. And again, but I do think, again, the themes you see here are the natural beauty that this part of Canada really possesses. And then day 7 is actually an opportunity to see a national park. So Cape Breton is known for the Highlands National Park. So you'll be able to be brought into the park with your tour director, whether it's just scenery, whether it's, again, like learning about the fishing town. And again, I think like the history of the region, all of these things will be brought out through those local guides and the additional sightseeing you're able to do on day 7. Day 8, we wrap back to Halifax. So I think we've just spent a lot of time in the beauty of the Canadian Maritimes. We're coming back to the city where the tour first started, leaning more a little bit into Canadian history and seeing some historic sites. And then also our farewell dinner is on day 8. I would say that's the time to get your phones ready. We're going to be exchanging information. I think a really fun part about these cross launch tours with different ollies. You now have friends in Delaware that are going to want to come down to visit you in Florida or vice versa, I'm sure, depending on the time of the year. So this is a time to share pictures and again, really just be able to continue to bond over what was a great opportunity and a great trip. And then day 9, that is your departure day. So if you do choose to do flights with us, you are going to be shuttled from your hotel after breakfast back to the airport to fly home. If you do flights independently, folks usually just like lean on the hotel to help find them a taxi to get to the airport. This trip also includes an extension. So when you saw, and the map itself has a little dotted line, things that you see in the extension, so things that are highlighted in yellow, these are optional excursions. So know that the extension is optional and the excursions on them are optional. This is by design. Not everyone wants to make this a full almost 2-week trip. Some people would rather go for the 9 days. So know that if you're doing the tour, you're going for the 9 days. It's only if you have the time and capacity and space to stay on and really want to see Newfoundland that you can choose to add on the extension. So I like to call go ahead, pick your own adventure. And this is really a way that we can do that. So day 9 is flying from Halifax to St. John's, making sure, again, like that is either your departure day or continuing on day. Travel day, giving you time to get there, get acclimated, little free time to enjoy and get settled once we get there. Day 10 is a sightseeing tour. Think about additional local guides, getting to really get a full view of the city. And then you see there on the bottom, highlighted in yellow, that village and brewery. So this is an opportunity to see, to interact more with like true, and again, like historical, I guess, Native Canadians, not like equivalent of Native Americans, and then also go to a brewery. So little fun fact there, you get a little history and a little Canadian beer, if that's something you're interested in. But mentioning before, if it's highlighted in yellow and you're not interested in that, you do not have to add it on. Day 11 is the final full day of the extension. So this is the first real free day on the tour. A lot of times people do the extension because they have a unique reason they want to visit Newfoundland that's not covered in day 10. So what that free day allows you to do is that's really the day to make of your own, whether you just kind of want to enjoy it in the city or you want to, arrange some independent transportation and go different part of the island. Those are all things folks usually do on a free day, but we also totally understand that that might not be on your bucket list. You'd rather just continue with a guided activity. That's why you see another highlighted in yellow there, optional excursion, which is the whale watching cruise. So I wish I could guarantee you're going to see a whale every time. We've definitely had a lot of groups come back and they were able to see them, but that's something you can add on if you're interested as well. And then day 12, even with the extension, all good things must come to an end. That's where we got to come on home. And I am going to kick it over to our account manager, Morgan, who I mentioned before would be your direct point of contact if you do decide to join the tour. And she'll talk a little bit about our travel coverage options.
Yeah, hi, my name's Morgan, and I'm the account manager that works with all groups OLLI. So you would be hearing from me if you decide to join this trip. I'm the one that checks in with you to make sure we have all of the notes on your reservation, health notes, mobility notes, passport information. I also follow up to make sure you know about the excursions, if you want to add it, answer questions, and then I work with you on your flights if you decide to go with go ahead flights. I'm going to go over 2 things that are optional to add to your reservation, but highly recommended. The first one is the travel coverage, the trip protection. No one likes to talk about emergencies happening, accidents, unexpected things, the cost of insurance, but it is important. Things can come up. The trip I was just on in Spain with a group, there was a traveler who tripped and fell, and she was considering going to kind of like a quick care or hospital to get checked out. She was worried about her Medicare insurance in the United States not covering her when she was in Europe, but luckily she had the trip protection through Go Ahead, so we could kind of assure those anxieties that it was worth going and any extra expense you would be able to submit to be refunded back. Or even on my trip, I went on a Go Ahead trip the year prior to Thailand, and it was a wonderful 2 weeks, but at the end of the trip, There was a large weather event and my flight was canceled. Originally, I was scheduled to not fly home for 5 extra days. And so it was nice to know that the insurance was gonna reimburse me for the hotel stay, all of the food, taxi to get back to the airport, all of those unexpected expenses that can come up when something we're not planning for occurs. There's 2 different types of trip protection that you could add to your reservation. There's the basic or the total trip protection. They're gonna cover all the same things, just to different amounts. So they would cover expenses relating to, like I mentioned, tour, interruption, my flight being canceled, needing to stay longer. If the airline lost your luggage, you needed to buy a new set of clothes. If there was accident or sickness that happened before the trip or when on the trip, it would cover all of that. If you add the total trip protection when you get signed up for the trip, it would come with 2 extra things. One being the pre-existing condition waiver. So if there's anything you've talked to a doctor about that could come up before the trip or on the trip, I recommend having that pre-existing condition waiver. The second thing that the total trip protection comes with is something called any reason protection. This is useful if you have to cancel the trip for a non-insured reason. So think someone plans their wedding during these dates and then you can't go and you have to cancel. Or someone in your family has their baby early and you want to stay home because the newborn's there. Or your dog gets sick, you don't want to travel when your dog is ill. Those are things that insurance wouldn't cover, but having the any reason protection would allow you to not lose the cancellation fee. It would go on a voucher for a future trip. That voucher is only for the any reason protection if you can't go on the trip for a non-insured reason. Anything that I spoke about earlier, accident, sickness, hotel stay, because of your flight being delayed, that if you submit to insurance, you're refunded back and you get the money back to you. The second thing that you could choose to add to your reservation is go ahead flights. So if you're someone that just wants to have a hassle-free experience, you just want to focus on the trip, the experience, the food, what you're going to see, I recommend adding the go ahead flights. If you're leaving from the same airport, we would do a group flight. There would be someone at the airport there to greet you. Airport transfers would be included with the go ahead flights. About 6 months prior to the trip, I would reach out, see if anyone has any sort of request. Do you want to go early, stay late? Do you want to look at a upgrade to your flight? The other thing is we have an entire team that monitors the flights provided by us, checks and see if there's schedule changes or if the airline cancels an itinerary. And if they do, they would look and, rebook the group to a different itinerary if needed. So it's nice to have a team that's monitoring that all for you. If you're not sure if you want to do go ahead flights, if you're like, I might have enough credit card points, I might want to just buy my own flight, you can always add the flights to your reservation and you can remove them for no penalty, no cost up until the tour finalization date. So for this trip, that's March 20th of 2026. So if you're unsure, I would add it, lock in the price, have it on your reservation, knowing you can remove it later. And then what do you need for this trip? Nothing major visiting Canada. Your passport would be needed. If you haven't gotten a passport or if you need to renew a passport, no worries. You can still sign up for the trip. And then as soon as you have that information, you can get it added to your account. If you already have a passport, I recommend go in, add it to your reservation because our system is smart and it double checks to see if it's going to be expired, and a notification would come up, and then you would know if you needed to renew it. Anything else, if anything else became required, I would make sure you knew it, reach out, be in contact with the group.
Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate that. Again, to hop back in here, just thinking about if you're choosing to considering joining, we understand that travel, we were just in a meeting with our CEO here a little earlier today, and she talked about like how travel is truly an investment that people now are more than ever, even with the, the economy has different ups and downs, but we see a consistent rise in travel because I think people's attitudes in general about investing in themselves has gone up rather than maybe more experiences versus things. So if you believe in that and you think that an investment in your education is important, which we'd like to think you do, whether you travel with us or not, as lifelong learners. But if you do choose to travel with this trip, we want to make sure we also make it accessible. So the ways we do that is anything we talk about on this slide, this is not done with any sort of financing or interest. This is just the way that we can kind of chunk the overall cost of the tour in a way that makes it a little easier to budget around. Of course, if you prefer, it is an option if you prefer to just pay for the tour at full at enrollment. One thing to understand is that is by no means a requirement and pretty rare that folks do it. The majority of folks are going to do one or if not two or combination versions of the other two options. Option one would be an enroll in auto pay. This allows you to secure your spot for as low as a $99 deposit that guarantees you a spot on the tour. It gives you a 30-day risk-free window. Again, you might say, well, this tour is next spring. I might be waiting. I might have a family member who might be getting married. Like, I would love to lock my spot in, but I've got a couple of other things I want to guarantee aren't going to be an issue. So know that that gives you an opportunity to get your money back. And then selecting a monthly day that works for you. Everyone, you have certain bills that are already coming out at the beginning of the month, the end of the month. You don't want to, you'd rather split up where this comes from or like how your money's being distributed. We give you that option. You can also change that if the date doesn't work for you anymore. The other thing to know about the auto pay is it does require that you use a guaranteed funding source, meaning a checking account or a debit card. I'm married to an accountant. Credit card points are big in my household. So I know that if I was signing up for one of these tours, I would probably opt for the manual pay or a combination of both because that allows me to use a credit card to earn those points. So we do accept Visa and MasterCard. It does require a little bit of a larger deposit, the $450. But again, it gives you, because it is not an auto pay option, it allows you to fully control when your payments are made. So know that if you opt for the manual pay, there is no monthly payment taken out. That is only if you do the auto pay. I mentioned the ability to combine them. Some people prefer to have the schedule of the auto pay, so it's a little bit of the set it and forget it, but do go in occasionally and say, well, I'd like to make a couple chunk payments to bring my overall bill down, which will bring my monthly payment down. So we absolutely allow you to do that. In addition to the fact that you could start with one, switch to another, go back and forth. There's no rules on how many times if you need to adjust your payment options. We give you the freedom to do so you don't feel like you're locked into one in case you need to pivot. And now looking at the actual cost of the tour and how we go about filling the spots on the tour. So things to know about the tour, there's double occupancy, meaning that there's a way to go, and majority of spots on group travel are done with double occupancy. So that's 2 people per room. So whether that's you going with a friend, you going with a significant other, 2 beds, 1 bed, we give you all those choices. Or we know that there's a certain number of people that don't want to do double occupancy. They prefer to not have a roommate. They'd rather travel solo. That's just their preference. There are a finite number of single spots on the tour. Actually, that's knocked down to 4. I apologize for not updating that. So there's 4 single spots on the tour, meaning that if you want to go and not have a roommate, we do have a couple of single spots left. I did mention before that this tour is being co-launched with the OLLI at Delaware. That's why you only see 10 spots left, because they actually had their meeting a couple of weeks ago. So we've had people who have already enrolled on the tour. So know that we are both all kind of not competing, but like both given the opportunity to fill those final spots. So exciting that folks are joining it, but also understand that if you want to go, I would recommend at least putting that 99 down to secure your spot and giving you that time, those 30 days to kind of make sure you're fully committed to the trip. And as a little extra incentive, we want to make sure over the next 2 weeks, we always kind of have this kind of early early bird discount for our folks who are joining the tour. So if you do enroll over the next 2 weeks, know that you will get $150 off per person. So that's $300 per couple. And that's just a little our way of saying thank you. When you enroll online, if you choose to go that route, it will look like you're only getting a $75 discount. Our team here that gets to work with all the OLLI business across the country, we've got a little extra discount that we can offer that the general public does not have access to. So know that even if you see a $75 discount, we will be manually going into your account and updating it so all people enrolled between now and the 8th of October get that full $150 per person. Continuing thinking about things you're responsible for on any group travel, specifically with Go Ahead. So these are costs outside of the cost of the tour. These are also things that we will cover as a group right before we leave. So I would say it's good to think about them now, but no need to really worry about any of this stuff until we get much closer to departure. We will reach out to everyone who's on the tour, like I said, right around a month before, and we will pick a date with the OLLI to get us all together here for another virtual meeting and cover everything here more in depth. But things to know, the people who are staffing your tour, of course, assuming they give above and go above and beyond and give great, excellent service, which is the expectation. There are folks, you have a bus driver, you do have local guides on some days, and you have that tour director every day. Combined between those three folks, budgeting between $12 and $15 per day for tips. Again, in that meeting, we'll talk a little bit more about how those are divided amongst each member of that travel team. The days you don't have meals, of course, thinking about budgeting for that. Daily spending money, a lot of great things. Again, you'll have an opportunity to get maple syrup when you visit the farm, but there's a lot of other fun souvenirs that people traditionally like to bring back from this part of the country. So just knowing that allocating money for that. Whether you do flights with us or not, overweight or extra luggage, this isn't an international tour. So Morgan, again, can you remind us like expectations for baggage for a trip to Canada?
Oh, we have to check with each airline. So when we get closer to departure, we'll have more insight into that, and we'll go over that in the pre-departure meeting. A lot of airlines don't include checked luggage for domestic. And European always includes checked luggage. So this is kind of a little in the gray zone. But once we work on the flight request, then we'll have that exact details. So you can use that information to decide, are you going to check a bag or just do carry-on?
That's a great point. So from my experience, when we actually traveled to Canada for a company tour last year, and I was given one, either I had the option one or the other, but again, I agree to Morgan's point, we'll know closer to departure, but basically know that if you decide to bring additional baggage beyond what you're allotted by the airline, that would be something you'd work out directly with them. And then of course, this is an international trip, even though we're just going to Canada. So passport reminder, make sure that is up to date and valid at least 6 months upon return. One point I think about going to Canada that I think it's good to address, all of the groups that we've had recently travel, I mentioned before, coming back with overwhelmingly raving reviews about the trip. One of the unique points that they came to, we meet with a lot of groups after they come back, or we just reach out to members directly because we always want to source feedback because we want our tours to be better and better and better. We were told by a number of travelers that they had some concerns that, well, as Americans, is there going to be additional tension? And to a person, every person that came back was so pleasantly happy and surprised. They said, everyone I met in Canada, they basically said, hey, yeah, I understand, the countries might have some political things going on, but we know you're here to support us as tourists and to learn about our country. We are so happy to have you. So if there's anybody who's like, well, I don't know, I think I heard about Canada. Again, there wasn't a single person who didn't say the people that they met on this tour specifically were not the nicest people. Welcomed them with open arms. They were extremely gracious, and again, we're very, very, very hospitable to our OLLI folks who have been going up to the Maritimes on these last couple tours. All right. Enrollment is officially open. I mentioned before we had started enrolling folks from Delaware earlier in the month. That little QR code for our tech-savvy friends will take you to a link that will allow you to actually pick a time of your choosing to request a phone call to talk about this. So Morgan is your direct point of contact, but especially this time of the month, a lot of those discounts are ending in the next couple of days for other people we work with. So we've got a whole group of folks who work with us, and their sole job is to make sure you have a one-on-one experience to walk through that enrollment process. So that link will allow you to schedule a time to get a one-on-one phone call with a member of our reservation team that know about the trip and will be able to talk and cover any additional questions that we maybe didn't cover today or that you didn't think to ask during this next little section here. All right, I think with that, I don't know if there's any in the chat or if folks want to come off mute, we are more than happy to answer those questions now. Nancy, I see a hand raised. Yes.
Yes. I have a specific question. I understand insurance and that if you get the insurance, things can be taken care of nicely. But what I'd like to hear is how does your company help people who have a problem, who need to do something? Like, what if they get sick in the middle of the night? Do you help them find someone to take care of them so they can use the insurance?
Yeah.
People, if they have a major problem, they're going to be flustered. They're going to be, not quite in
I
their
can touch on that.
mind. There's somebody to
Yeah.
help
So
them.
yeah, so we have a 24/7 on-tour support team that's available at all times. Of course, on the tour, you're going to have the tour director, but before the tour, or if it happens and you're not near the tour director, the 24/7 on-tour support team is amazing. So on my trip, for the woman that tripped and fell, she was kind of uncertain with what she should do. She called that number. They helped identify the closest quick care for her to go visit. They called the hotel to help facilitate the taxi ride. They called the tour director, and he helped get ice and to make sure everything was taken care of. And then also when you're on the trip, the tour director is such a good resource. He continued to follow up with her, went to the pharmacy to get some ointment for the scrapes on her leg, continued to make sure she had ice. They're available by chat or by call, and they always say, call me any time of the day. I'm here for you when you're on the trip. So those are two resources that are really, really great.
I completely echo those sentiments. Well, of course it's not. We would love to live in a world where no one ever has gotten injured or sick on these tours, but it's life, it happens. But yeah, we have countless stories. We were just up at a open house at Colorado State's OLLI, and the year before when I was at that open house promoting a different tour, actually this exact tour going to Canada, I met with a different one of their members who had been independently on a go-ahead tour, and she talked about she had flown in and she had let people know on the way in that she wasn't feeling well. And within 15 minutes of leaving the airport, the tour director had her at this was a tour that went to Thailand also, that this tour, they had her, I mean, with a country like that, not only do you need a doctor, she wanted an English speaking doctor so she could, correctly articulate what was going on with her. And to Morgan's point, she was there within 15 minutes of leaving the airport. She got great care. And then that tour director knew to do those check-ins and was constantly letting her know. And she had the insurance, so she didn't end up using it. But if she didn't feel comfortable and she wanted to go home or she wanted to have family, all of those options are going to be constantly being communicated to members, because I don't think the insurance is really worth as much if you don't have that travel team who can support you in those moments. So we hang our hat on those folks and what they're able to do all the time.
Thanks.
Of course. Mary, I see a hand.
I always ask this because whether there is a porta potty on the bus, I got stuck once, and I was okay, but a lot of people on the bus had a terrible time because we were going up a mountain and there was a truck stuck up there or something there, so they had to stop for a long, long time, and the people that needed a porta potty were most unhappy.
Yeah, we can't guarantee that the bus will have a bathroom that's able to be used. I can say that they're really great at like making stops, and hopefully that traffic it since was just like a one-time thing. But anytime it's a long drive, I've always the bus is always pulled over at a rest area so people can go to the bathroom, get snacks, get a coffee, get whatever they need. But it's not a guarantee that there'll be a usable bathroom on the bus.
Yeah, and if just one person has to go, it wouldn't stop, right?
No, I think
Yeah.
it's, that's
Oh, I think they would. If it's
no, they
if
would.
someone really gotta go, yeah.
It's
Okay.
another advantage, I think, of this being one of those, this is a private tour just for the two ollies. I think while we have many spaces to fill, traditionally these groups, one, they're not quite as big. I personally think that's a really nice, like, if you've ever been in like a 50-person tour versus a 20-person tour, it's a very different experience. So we prioritize keeping our groups small to keep that kind of like more communal feel to them. But as also as a result, we offer tours that are bigger. That's not what this tour is. Usually on those bigger tours, it's more, oh, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to like, no, I always tell our folks, especially in that pre-departure meeting, it's like, this is a private experience. In full transparency, you're paying for a private experience. It's a little bit of an elevated experience. So one of the benefits I think that comes with that is I want to empower anyone on the tour to feel like they can advocate for themselves. And tour directors, the last thing they want to do is keep somebody uncomfortable on a bus ride. That's no fun. We want you to be having a great time. So definitely feel comfortable about advocating for bathroom breaks, or even like if we're doing a guided sightseeing, another advantage here is like tell a tour director, hey, whatever. Some folks are like, oh, my leg's not feeling great. Like I might want to find a stop and like get a little coffee, but I want to hold the group up. They are very good at making sure they can accommodate both the individual, but also allow the group to continue doing what they're doing. And that's part of I think the intelligent design of these tours. So definitely don't want you feeling like if you had to raise your hand and say, hey, I need a little extra break, that's going to be a big issue. It should not be.
That's comforting, good. And there's also the chance that you might have a bus with a toilet on it, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
there are different ones. We have different
Okay.
partnerships with different bus companies across the world. So like Morgan said, we would never put anything in writing or saying out there that we can't guarantee. So that is why it's kind of like, that's a very standard answer to that question. But like I said, I just think it's more making sure you feel comfortable advocating for yourself if that's something you think you need. Any other questions?
Josh, can you confirm how many accommodations are available for a single person?
There's 4 single spots available. So it's one, and the thing to know about those single spots, those are the guaranteed single spots that are available. That all tours have the ability, once those single spots are sold out, to request more. So I would say, even if you hear, oh, we do an update in a week and those 4 spots are gone, I don't want people thinking they can't enroll. What actually happens, you would go on the single spot wait list, and if you're not able to get one, you actually would get a full refund of anything you pay. So know that like you're protected in the event that you're on that wait list. But we point them out because they are traditionally the first spots to sell out because they are a finite number. But this tour has 4 available, but know that we don't want people to be discouraged if those 4 sell out between now and maybe because the Delaware, their discount ends at the end of the month. So I would also say if you want to get one of those single spots, I recommend putting your deposit down between now and the end of the month, even though our discount goes a little bit into October. That's just because they launch a little earlier. So it's always just where their 2 weeks falls. So yeah, I think, again, they're there. They can be requested if we go past the 4, but we can guarantee those 4.
Okay, and I have one other question regarding like the optional excursion trips.
Yep.
When do people sign up for those?
So you have the ability to sign up at enrollment, but there's no requirement to do so. Morgan will do check-ins with the group as we get closer to departure, reminding, hey, if you still could sign up for these if you want. Very rarely is there, but every once in a while, like we launched a tour last night that goes to Rome. So like to get tickets to the Vatican, that one you have to sign up ahead of time. Most other excursions though, because we're buying tickets for that, most other excursions, and I believe the 2 that are on this tour, you could even sign up for them the day before with the tour director on tour. just know that if you choose to wait to sign up on tour, that there is a $10 additional cost to do so. So I always say, if you think you're going to do it, put them on before you leave. But we've got plenty of time between now and departure for people to do that if they want to consider doing it or not.
If it's something you really want, you should just put it on your reservation, because if not many people sign up for it, we aren't going to continue planning it, and then it could get canceled. So sometimes people will get on tour and they'll be like, we all wanted to do the whale watching. It's like, well, we didn't know that, so we didn't keep planning it. We took it away. So I think it's a good idea to take a look a- around by the tour finalization date, which is about 70 days before departure.
Okay, and then as far as members wanting to register for this tour, I see that we have an 800 number. There was also a website in the chat. So those are all different options that our members have to enroll, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
you can get enrolled online. You can get enrolled by calling that 800 number to talk to the reservation team, or you could schedule a call with the reservation team. So 3 really great options to get signed up.
Okay, and
And I will also, Karen, I'll follow up with you with an email template that you can send out to everyone who registered with
Yep.
all the easy details. That's also the same information that can be embedded onto the travel website. I just send that to you because you all control the recording. So there's a space in that email for you to drop the recording link, so everyone has everything in one easy to reference place.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay. And I see on your slide that you're also open on Saturdays, which I didn't know that.
Correct. We have, it's a little bit limited hours, but I think for our East Coast friends, it's actually best. It's more for, if you're farther out west, you got to get your call in early, but it'll be, from 9 to 5:30 on East Coast hours on Saturday. So it's actually the same. I put that caveat in there, because a lot of times when we work with ollies out west, they're like, hey, if you're calling in on Saturday, don't call in too late. Those folks will already be off the line.
And I also just wanted to remind the people on the call and the people listening to the recording is that Robin Chung is the point of contact at OLLI-USF for this tour. She wasn't able to be on this call today, but she's the point of contact. And you can also contact me as well if you can't get a hold of Robin.
And I think in addition to that, those are great because I feel like making sure people understand, like, those are for like ollie specific questions. Like if I know a lot of folks will register and they'll be defaulted into a single room, but they prefer to not pay the single room upcharge, but they might not have a roommate from the very beginning. I think that's a great thing, like whether it's through the office, and then Morgan and I, of course, help doing introductions to pair people together, because what we cannot do is you cannot call in and just say, I want to do the Canada tour and just give me a roommate. Well, we of course want to make sure people have had a chance to chat, feel comfortable as a travel companion and partner before, of course, doing that. So just know that both, I think that's a good thing to probably reach out to the ollie office for. But anything trip related, questions about the trip, I just don't want to overload Karen and Robin. They did a great job helping this trip be rolled out. But anything trip related, though, that number you see on the screen, please reach out directly to Go Ahead, because at the end of the day, they're just going to tell you to call us anyway. So just go ahead and say one additional thing there. Mary, I see you raised your hand again.
I don't see a phone number for Robin.
Mary, I will ask Robin how she wants to be contacted, because usually we don't give out phone numbers, we use email. And so let me talk to her, and when I send out the email about the recording, I'll inform everybody then.
All right, last call for questions before we let everybody get back to their day. All right, well, I will interpret that silence as information has been covered, but as we mentioned before, please reach out. We'd love again, for as many folks from the OLLI to join this tour and meet some new Delaware friends and really get to enjoy Canada. Again, I'm a little biased because I said I've been able to kind of hang out in this part of the overall geographic part of the continent, more on the main side. But I think this is definitely an underrated place to visit. I think there's history. I think there's great food. I think there's wonderful people to meet, and really, again, to really lean into that sense of the community that these OLLI trips create. So really hope you consider joining, and hope to hear from you soon.